Hey guys, in today's video we're going to be creating the Create Manager screen. So let's get started. First thing we need to do is actually create the Add Properties screen. So just navigate to your Screens folder and add a new screen called Add Properties Screen. And within this we'll import View, Style Sheet, Keyboard Aware Scroll View, and Text. And then import screen, modal header, and useauth. And then we will export our component, and we should expect the parameters to contain a property ID, which will be a number. And then we'll create our styles below. Now within this component, we are going to get user from useauth and then create a variable called manager, and we'll just set that to true. And in production, we're not going to have this per se, but we are going to see if a manager exists under the user's account, so that's why it's there. And for our return statement, we will return a keyboard aware scroll view with bounces equal to false, and within that we'll return a screen showing a modal header with the X shown, and then we'll have a view with the style of styles.container, which is just a margin horizontal of 10, and within that we'll have some text saying add a property, and that will have a margin vertical of 20. So with this created, let's go to our index file and add this screen to our stack here, our modal stack in particular. So here we'll say stack.screen name is equal to add property, component is equal to add property screen, and then the options are going to be header shown is false. Now we need to go into our types and add this to them. So here under the root stack param list, we will add this, and it will either have a property ID, which is a number, or it will be undefined. Now to actually navigate to this screen, we need to go to our account screen. And here where it says navigate to add property, we actually need to navigate there. So we'll say navigation.navigate to add property. And that's whenever we are signed out, but whenever we're signed in, we need to have another button to navigate there as well. So let's go to, where is it? Add a property. Here we will do the same thing. And now we can actually test that out. So here where it says add a property, we'll go there and we are seeing that screen. And now let's sign out and then see add a property, and there we are. I'm going to get rid of this reset password button at the bottom since we've already gone over that. Do that. And then also I'm going to make a change to our sign in and create account screens. As you can see up top, the margin horizontal is being applied to the modal header, whereas in add a property, it's not being applied. So I'm just going to go and change the sign in and create account screens so that the modal header isn't affected by that margin horizontal. So here we'll go to sign in screen, and pretty much all you have to do is just get rid of this style on the screen and then wrap everything beneath the modal header in a view, and then apply that style here. And then we'll just move everything for the body within this view. And then of course we need to import view up top. Now let's check out the sign-in screen. Okay, it's no longer being applied, so that's good. And let's do the same thing for the sign up screen. So I'm just going to import view first. Get rid of this, go here, view, apply the styles, and move everything into that view. And there we are. Let's go there. All right, so that's working too. Let's go back to add property. And since we aren't logged in currently, we shouldn't actually be seeing this screen. So that's why here in add property screen, we are getting this user from useauth. So if a user doesn't exist, then we would like to point them to a different screen saying, hey, you need to sign in or sign up. So for that, let's create a new component. We'll call it sign up or sign in screen. And really that's a screen. So I'm going to create it in my screens folder. So sign up or sign in screen.tsx. For this screen, we are going to be importing view, style sheet, text, and Lottie view. Then import screen, modal header, and sign up and sign in buttons. And here we'll create our component and return a screen with a modal header in it for now. And let's go back to add a property screen or add property screen and import this component. Sign up or sign in screen. And here we're actually needing to return this. So if no user exists, then we'd like to return the sign up or sign in screen, which is what is happening right now because we can't see add a property. So now that it's showing, let's start to build it out. And before we start building this out, go to lottiefiles.com and then search for an animation pertaining to adding a property and download it. Now, whenever you get your Lottie downloaded, I named mine add property and I just moved it into my assets folder under the Lotties folder. Now, before we get started in building out our component, let's first create our styles and then let's create a view with the style of styles.container, which will just be a margin horizontal of 10. Then we'll add a text, which says add your properties. That'll have a margin vertical of 20. And then we'll have a Lottie view with the style of styles.lottie, and it will be pointing to the Lottie that we just added to our project. The Lottie style has a margin bottom of 50, height of 250, width of 250, and align self to center. And underneath the Lottie, we will display a text which has a style of text, which is aligning the text to center, and it will just say create an account or sign in. And under that, we'll have some more text saying to add your properties, you must create an account or sign in. That'll also have a style of styles.text, but then we'll give it a style of bottom text, which gives it a margin top of 10 and margin bottom of 30. And it'll have the appearance of hint. And finally, we will render out our sign up and sign in buttons. So if the user clicks on sign in or presses on it, it will get taken there. Create account, same thing. So let's actually go and sign in. Now that we're signed in, we actually got taken to add a property. And whenever we go back, it takes us back to that account screen. So with that done, because our user does not have any manager associated with them, then we need to display a screen saying that if manager is false, which currently it is, then we'd like to render out a different screen. So if no manager, then we will return an empty fragment for now. Okay, so that's where we are currently. And for this, we are going to call it CreateManagerScreen. So let's go back into our screens here and create a new one called CreateManagerScreen. Now for this screen, we'll import view, style sheet, image, pressable, use state, use ref, keyboard aware scroll view, text, input button, formic, and everything as yup. And then we will import screen and modal header. Now let's export our component, and we will return a keyboard aware scroll view with bounces equal to false, And within that, we'll have a screen just displaying a modal header for right now. Now let's go and import this screen into our add property screen. So import CreateManagerScreen. And here we can see it. So let's go back here and actually start to build this thing out. Now let's start off by creating our styles here. And then we should create a view with the style of container. And then in that we'll have a header which just says create property manager account. Beneath that we'll have some text saying create this account to list your properties. Users will see this info under the contact section of your listings. Then we'll create a format component with the initial values of name, email, phone number, website, and image, all set to an empty string. And for the validation schema, it'll be a yup object with the name equal to a yup string that's required. Email will be a yup string that's an email, and that's going to be a required. Phone number is just going to be a string. Website will be a string as well, and image will be a string. And on submit will just be an empty function for now. And within this format component, we will return a function which returns some components. The first being an input for the name, and that will have a style of input, which is just a margin top of 10. Then the second will be one for the email. The third will be one for their website. And down here at the bottom, we'll just render out a button saying create account. And on the onPress event, it will call handle submit. And that will have a style of sign-in button, which is just a margin top of 20. Now we're still missing inputs for the phone number and the image. So to get started, let's handle the image first. Now for that, let's go into our terminal and get a new package. It's called Expo Image Picker. Now with that installed, we can import everything as Image Picker from Expo Image Picker. Then we'll create a new state called image URI and set that to an empty string. And then we'll create a new function called pick image. It's going to be asynchronous, and we'll take in a function, or a function reference rather, which will take in a string and value and return void, and then a field which will be a string. And then we're going to await the launch image library async method of image picker, passing in the image picker media type options of images for media types, allows editing as true, and base64 as true. And then if the result is not canceled, we'll call our passed in function, specifying the field as the passed in field, and then our result.base64 for the second value. And then we'll set the image URI to result.uri. Now down below in our return statement, we will say, within the format component, we'll say that if an image URI exists, then we need to render out a pressable component. And then for the onPress event, we will call pick image, passing in the set field value and image. So set field value is coming from here, and then image is the field name here for our initial values, or our values in general. And for the image container, that'll just have a padding vertical of 10. And within this pressable component, if there's this image URI, we'd like to display an image. The URI is going to be the image URI, and the style will be our image style, which is going to be a height of 200, width of 200, resize mode is contain, border radius is 5, and align self is center. And then we'll have a button underneath that. Whenever it's pressed, it will just clear the image, which sets the image URI to an empty string and sets the field value image to an empty string as well. And then underneath that, we will have a button with the appearance of ghost, style of sign-in button, and whenever it is pressed, it will call the pick image function, passing in set field value and image, and depending on whether or not an image URI is present, then it will say update image or add image. So now we can test this out. with something like this. Here we'll just say crop, and there we can see it. If we press this, we can update it. And let's get something like this, or we can clear it. So with images accounted for, let's get started on the phone number part. And for that, let's create a new component. We're going to call it phone input. Now for phone input, we are going to import a new package or add a new package. So let's do yarn add React Native phone number input. So with that added, we will now add our imports. So import style sheet, view, view style, use state, use ref, ref, text, and rn phone input. Then import theme, and then export your component. It'll take in an onChangeText function, phone number, which is a string, phone ref, which will be an optional ref, and then style, which will be an optional view style. Now let's just return a view for the moment and create your styles below. And let's go and add this into our CreateManagerScreen. Here at the top, import phone input. Then underneath the website input, let's add it. onChangeText is just going to equal handle change phone number. For phone number, that is going to be equal to values.phone number. This will have a style of styles.input. And we need to create a ref for this. So here up top, we'll say const phone ref equals use ref, and it will initialize it to null. And then we need to actually import that rn phone picker or phone input from React-Native phone number input, and it's going to be of that type, rn phone input. And now we need to pass this ref into our phone input here. So phone input or phone ref equals phone ref. All right, so with that done, let's go back into our phone input and start to build this component out. So one thing we have to do before building this out is go to our theme and actually add a new color. That color is going to be light gray, and it's going to have the hex of E5 EAEF. Now back in phone input, we will create a new state called border color and initialize it to color-light-gray. And then if a phone ref doesn't exist, we will create a phone ref and initialize it to null. Then here on our view, let's pass in the passed in style. Now let's start to build the body out for this component. So first we'll have some text, which will be the label for the input component, and it will just say phone. That'll have a style of font weight bold, and margin bottom is going to be -5, and then we will return an rn phone input component. The ref is going to be equal to phone ref. onChangeText is going to be equal to onChangeText. Default code is US. Container style will be a combination of styles. So the border color is going to be equal to our border color state. It'll have a style of container style and input. Container style has a width of 100%, border radius 5, border width of 1, height of 40, margin top of 0, and background color of this. And input is just a margin top of 10. Now for the text input props, the selection color is going to be equal to color success 300. Data detector types is going to be phone number. On focus, we will set the border color to our primary color. And on blur, we'll set the border color to the light gray color. Now if there's a phone number present and it's not valid, then we'll set the border color to color-danger-500. And for the style, we'll give it a style of text input style, which is a width of 100%, height of 40, and font size of 15. And the layout is going to be equal to second. And then the text container style is going to be equal to text container, which is a border radius of 5. And underneath the input, if the border color is equal to color-danger-500, that means that there's an error. So we will display some text saying that there's an invalid phone number present. And that will have a style of error text, which is just a color of this color-danger-500. So now let's go back to the Create Manager screen and handle the onSubmit here. So for right now, we'll just create a function above this called Create Manager, and we'll just log this to the console. In production, this would be a mutation where you create the manager. And then here in onSubmit, we'll say that if values.phoneNumber exists and it's not a valid phone number, then we'll return. Otherwise, we will create the manager. All right, so let's test this out. So here we'll just say m@c.com, no website. Here we'll say 8675309 and invalid phone number. So we need to give this an area code. So here we'll give it Sacramento, add image, and this is good enough. And let's just create the account now and see if it worked. So let's go back to here. Okay, create a manager on the back end and go to adding a property. And really, whenever we create a manager, this will get sent to the back end, creating the manager, and then if it's successful, manager here will be set to true, and then the user can then go on to create their property or add their property to the service. So that is how you guys can create the Create Manager screen. In the next video, we will actually implement the back-end logic, so stay tuned for that. And thank you for watching.